Hello there, sports gamers. Welcome on back into the channel. It's another big week here with MLB The Show 23 news as we just had the feature premiere live stream for Diamond Dynasty here today. I must say I'm kind of surprised. Usually they don't do Diamond Dynasty news this early. Usually we see them hold the Diamond Dynasty news towards, right before the game launches. But this year they've actually split it up. So one is Diamond Dynasty Features, which is what we got today. This was the feature premiere. And then they are still going to do the one the day before the game goes into early access, and that'll be talking about the live content and all that. We'll talk about the whole schedule later, but today we got a lot of news about new changes coming to Diamond Dynasty. There's a lot to go over here. Let's get into it.
Sports Gamers Online is the #1 source for the sports gamer.
Alrighty, so here we are, the feature premiere live stream for Diamond Dynasty. It's about 45 minutes long, and the first thing that they talked about is that on day one, you will be grinding for 99 overall cards. Now, first you may think, well, that's not unusual. You know, we usually have 99 overalls in MLB The Show on day one with the live series collection rewards. That's not what they're talking about here. Those will still be in the game. Those 99s will still be there, but there's going to be more 99s in the game. So we're talking ranked seasons, battle royale programs, and more places where you're going to be able to get 99 overall cards on the first day of MLB The Show 23 Diamond Dynasty. And they also announced what they're calling sets and seasons. So seasons are different time periods in Diamond Dynasty. They're going to run for about 6 to 8 weeks at a time. And every card released in the game during that season will be part of that season set. So season 1 will be set 1, season 2 set 2, season 3 set 3, and so on. And they also have what they call the core set. Now that's going to be made up of live series cards, the live series collection rewards, and a few other sets of cards that they're going to talk about later. And so there will be certain modes in the game that will be restricted in terms of what cards you can use in your lineup based on what season it is. So you'll only be able to use cards from the current and previous season, as well as the core cards, which will be available during any season. So for example, in season 1, you have your core and set 1. Season 2, set 2 comes out, you still get your core and you still have set 1, but then in season 3, set 1 is restricted in those certain modes. They're no longer allowed, so now you use set 2, which you earned during season 2, and now you have the new set 3 cards coming out that you're going to be working towards, and you still have your core cards as well. And you will have a wild card slot in your lineup, so you will be able to carry one card from set 1 into season 3 if you want to. And overall, I think this is a really good change. I was a little skeptical of it when I first heard about it, but thinking about it more here and really looking at it, I think this is a phenomenal change, not just for Diamond Dynasty, but the whole card collecting genre as a whole, because really, when you think about it, the whole genre of card collecting molds, Ultimate Team, My Team, whatever the game you play calls it, they all kind of are based on that power crawl. And so, you start off with the less powerful cards, and throughout the year, more and more powerful cards come out. And so you kind of feel like you have to keep playing if you want to stay competitive in those games, no matter what. And so it's kind of like the carrot on the stick. You're just kind of chasing that, and you never quite fully get it. And once you finally do, you're at the end of the game's life cycle, and it's time for the new game to come out and reset again. What this does is day one, you have 99 overall cards that you're getting, and you have your core set, so you have your live series and your live series collection rewards that stay there that are going to get paralleled up. And then season 2 comes around, you already have a really good team from set 1. And even if you miss some time during season 1, you still had time because it is longer. 6 to 8 weeks is a good chunk of time to be able to at least earn some of those 99s. One of the things I criticized about MLB The Show 22 was some of the featured programs were really short. Some of them only lasted like 2 weeks. So if you couldn't get on and play during those 2 weeks, you just missed out on some really good cards. And it's sort of that fear of missing out that Ultimate Team and card collecting modes sort of run off of. They want you to always feel like you have to get the latest and best card, but now having these 99s, these really powerful cards available throughout the entire year, if during season 2, I don't want to get all of the 99s, I just want to get a few of them, then that's okay because I still have my core and I still have my set 1, and then when season 3 comes out, I have my set 2, the ones I did earn, I still have my core cards, I have my wild card set for set 1, and I can start getting the set 3 ones to fill in the holes. And also, it won't be every mode where you're going to be restricted like this. That was one thing I was worried about, if the entire of Diamond Dynasty was going to be restricted at this. I didn't like that, but it's only going to be certain modes, and most of the modes where you see the restriction, you'll also be able to play without the restriction in other ways. So Ranked Season will feature these set restrictions at all times, which kind of makes sense. That is the main online competitive mode, so that is where the people that are the most dedicated to the game play. Events, again, this is one I figured would have those restrictions. That's sort of the whole point of events, is for lineup restrictions, playing with different lineups, trying out different cards and stuff like that. Some events will have the season restrictions. Other events, the lineup restrictions will be different, so they won't have that. Conquest, they said there will be some maps that do feature those season requirements, and there will be mainly the timed ones that go along with the current program or season, I guess, at that time. But there will be other ones that they release that aren't timed, that are just there, and you can use whatever you want. That was something I really like to see. I love Conquest. I love being able to use whatever I want. But I did want to have some changes come to it, so it looks like we'll be able to have the best of both worlds there. Battle Royale will not have the season restrictions whatsoever. Neither will Play versus Friends, Play versus CPU, or Casual Head-to-Head. Mini seasons will in some areas, but we're going to talk about that a little bit later, because there's a lot more coming to mini seasons here in MLB The Show 23. Overall, I think this is a great change. I'm really looking forward to seeing what those 99s are like on day one, and how easy they're going to be able to attain on day one. I mean, if day one you can get, 1 or 2 99s, I think that's great. And I think it's really going to change the way that not just MLB The Show, but I think you might see the other Ultimate Team and card collecting modes start kind of adopting this, where they give people those 99s throughout the year. The designated hitter is also coming to MLB The Show Diamond Dynasty. Finally, we've been wanting this for so long. We heard of this news right before the technical test for the game happened, and we got to play around with it in the tech test, but they did mention it again here. You'll have the DH. You'll be able to use any card that you have at all as a DH. You can put a bronze or common relief pitcher in there if you want to for some reason. And they also mentioned that there will be certain cards listed with DH as their position. For example, an Edgar Martinez or David Ortiz might have DH as their actual position there. Also, two-way players have gotten fixed in MLB The Show finally, so now you will be able to DH Shohei Ohtani while you also have him in your lineup. And also, two-way player cards in Diamond Dynasty will now feature secondary positions. So, for example, with Shohei Ohtani with his live series starting pitcher card, if you want, you can put him as your DH, you can put him in your rotation, you can put him in the outfield, however you want to do. You can do it exactly how he plays in real life. And the next big thing coming to Diamond Dynasty this year is one that I'm really excited about, is captain cards. This is going to be the MLB The Show version of theme teams, and that's something I've wanted in the mode for a while now, and I really like how they're implementing it here. So you'll have these cards that are designated as captain cards, and at the beginning of the game, every team will have at least one. The Detroit Tigers one is going to be Miguel Cabrera, and as you can see here, he is listed as designated hitter, as they mentioned earlier. And these captains will have different requirements attached to them, and if you meet those requirements, you'll get the associated boost. So, for example, 5 hitters from the Detroit Tigers on your squad. So if you have 5 hitters that are Tigers players in your lineup, including Miguel Cabrera, you'll get that corresponding boost, which is +5 to contact versus lefties, +5 to batting clutch, and -5 fielding ability. That'll apply to all of those Tiger hitters, including Miguel Cabrera. Now, the players on your squad that are not contributing towards that requirement are not going to get that boost. You'll also be able to have 2 captains active at a time on your squad, one a hitting captain and one a pitching captain. So a hitting captain will have to remain in the game for at least 2/3 of the game if you have him active, so you won't be able to pull him for at least 2/3 of the game. So if you're playing a full 9-inning game, you'll have to leave him in at least through the 6th inning. And then the pitching captain, it's going to work a bit differently. There will apply whether they are in the game or not. So if their energy is down and you can't use them, their bonuses are still going to apply to the pitching staff. And also you can have a pitching captain be either a starter or a reliever. But not all of those requirements are going to be based on the team. Certainly at the beginning there will be some, but you're going to have other ones like this Willie Mays card here. It says 1950s and 1960s captain. And so if you look at his requirements, 3 hitters from the 50s and 60s, 5 hitters, and then 8 hitters from 50s and 60s. So they could be era-based, they could be team-based. They also said they'll have ones where it's like, have so many milestone players on your squad or stuff like that. So it's really going to be interesting to see what all variations of these requirements we see this year, and also which ones are going to end up being the most powerful, because you know there's going to be people trying to figure out what are the meta builds, what are the meta theme teams in Diamond Dynasty. And the team at SDS acknowledged that during the stream today, and they said that if they saw that, you know, one was very clearly way overpowered, they would be willing to make the necessary changes to nerf that and bring it down so that it's at an equal playing field with the others. And when you're going into a game, you'll be able to tell if your opponent has a captain boosted, because you'll see it up here, Miguel Cabrera, tier 1 boost. You'll see exactly what the boost is. And then all the players with this little arrow here on their card are going to be designated as the ones that are getting that boost. And again, Battle Royale will not allow for the captain boost just because of the nature of that mode, but they will be supported in ranked co-op, play against CPU, conquest, mini seasons, and showdown. Speaking of mini seasons, there's a lot more coming to mini seasons this year in MLB The Show 23. Last year, mini seasons was added, and while it was a great new offline mode, it wasn't really fleshed out as much as it could have been. But this year, they're really trying to fix that and sort of add a lot more to that particular mode and make it a lot more fun for players. So this year, you'll have the classic mode, which will be the same as how mini seasons was last year. No roster limits, CPU controlled by real-life user DD rosters, 3-inning games, never expires, never goes away. But then you'll also have these timed themed versions of mini seasons that they've talked about. And so you could have ones that are restricted your lineup based on, for example, the season. So you can only use the ones that are allowed in the current season. They also said maybe we'll do lefty only. So you have to build an entire lineup and rotation of only lefties. And any roster requirements that you have to adhere to, the CPU-controlled teams will also have to adhere to when building their lineups as well. They also added a few more tabs. So they added, of course, the standings. There's also league stats leaderboards here and your goals here that we saw last year. So a completely revamped UI for this. And you'll be able to view the squads a lot better. I think this is a lot better than just the names. You're actually getting to see the cards that are on these different teams. They also built custom stadiums for each of these teams. So this team here is the Soul Singers. So when you play against this team on the road, there will be a dedicated stadium for that team in Seoul, just for them, as well as the other teams in mini seasons as well. They also talked about how now with the programs, when you get to the end of a program, you won't be just capped at the maximum amount of XP. You'll have this little loop here that accumulates. So for every extra bit of XP that you have to meet, you'll get an extra reward in Diamond Dynasty. And it'll look like this. And what will happen is these will turn that audio off there. So what'll happen is these will pop up here and they'll go away, and it's going to flash on the screen here like this. And you have to hit the button for when it stops. And when it stops, you get the corresponding reward. So you got a silver, so you can get either a ball owner as a habit, 7,500 stubs, or a 5-pack. Gold, 5 ball owner as a habit, and 20, or the diamond is a 50 bundle of the show packs there. And of course, I think those will probably change throughout the year. You know, they may put some better ones in there, maybe some of the choice packs that come out for the different programs and stuff throughout the year. But I really like that. At least you're not just wasting XP, you know, just grinding for nothing there. You're going to be getting a lot more of that, and that's going to be a way for people to get a lot more packs. Because 25,000 XP, if that's the threshold, that's not a whole lot of XP, really. And we also got the rest of the feature premiere schedule. Of course, today, February 23rd, was Diamond Dynasty. They have Road to the Show and more listed for next week on March 2nd. So it's interesting to see what that more is going to be. When they originally put out the schedule, it was like Redacted plus Road to the Show. So I'm curious what that's going to be. March 9th is Franchise, March to October, and Presentation and Commentary. March 15th is going to be an SDS Dev Tournament, so it'll be a tournament that's broadcasted live where the devs play the game for themselves. And then March 23rd, the day before it goes live into Early Access, live content, and again, and more. So it was another thing that was redacted on the original schedule, so I'm not sure exactly what that is going to be there. And then here at the end, we also got a little, I guess you could call it a post-credit scene here. and it is some big news that I'm really excited about. Team Affinity is coming back. I guess that's what that more is talking about. I'm really excited for that. It's curious to me. I guess this means they may be going away from the featured programs, maybe going back to the inning programs, because Team Affinity was kind of part of those featured programs last year. So I'm not sure how that's going to work, but I'm definitely excited. I missed Team Affinity last year. It's one of my favorite things in Diamond Dynasty, and I cannot wait to grind out Team Affinity again. That's going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Know a bit of a longer one, but there was a lot of changes here to discuss. Let me know, what do you think of there being 99 overall cards available day one in Diamond Dynasty, and of MLB The Show just trying to get rid of the whole power crawl in general and just letting players just get what they want immediately, not having to, you know, be afraid of missing out on the next great card, just being able to work towards what they want. What do you think of that? What do you think of sets and seasons? Do you think that's going to work? Do you think people are going to be annoyed by losing access to cards in certain modes? Do you like the changes coming to mini seasons? Do you like Team Affinity returning? And what do you think we are going to see in those future feature premiere live streams? Let me know all of that down in the comments below. I appreciate y'all supporting as we lead up here to MLB The Show 23. We're going to have a lot more coverage of this game coming up. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave it a like and also subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our upcoming videos. And for all MLB The Show news and updates, stay tuned to Sports Gamers Online. I'm Brandon Satterwhite with SGO. Thank you for watching.